there's going to be no grocery stores that we go to anymore. We're going to be shopping everything. We're going to put our headsets on. We'll be able to walk into our local grocery store, see what they have, selection, pick it up, and it'll be drop shipped to our house.
So y'all, we're back with another episode. I'm super excited to just highlight everything that's happening in the Black community inside of the metaverse, inside of VR, inside of AR. And I've got a very special guest with me today. We actually met first in the metaverse, and I was so inspired by the work that he was doing and the things that he was doing and his story. I was like, Pete, I gotta get you on my podcast. And so after weeks of figuring it out and going through scheduling, I'm so happy to announce that we got Mr. Parker today on the podcast. So excited. So look, man, really quick, just give us an intro, where you're at, what you're passionate about as it relates to the metaverse. Of course, we'll dig into your story in a second, but just give us high level intro of who you are.
So my name's Parker, born and raised Broward County, Florida, South Florida. Represent Broward baby. A little bit about me. I'm a recovery addict. I came to the metaverse actually. We'll get to that later. But I was brought to the metaverse. I instantly saw a need for something to better a community, and that was my first thought. How can I service others? How can I, reach out to others? How can I help, a community that, in the physical world, we have these resources that are lacking, and it's just like, I wanted to be able to offer, not only my own wisdom, but like just a place where anybody can go and just be themselves and, let it out and like not have to worry about who knows, who's going to judge, who's going to, who's going to gossip, it's just like, it's, as I said, like we are the Safe House Recovery Club and like we're a judgment-free zone. So
I love it. I can't wait to get into that and just unpack your story with that. Let's do this. Let's rewind the tape for a little bit though, right? Because for those listening to you for the first time, they're like, okay, we see Park, he's in the metaverse, he's doing some great things, but how did you even get involved into this, right? Like, where was the origin of the metaverse? Was it virtual reality? Like, was it somebody just gave you a headset? Like, rewind the tape for us, Parker, and give us the story.
I want to say it was like 2019, and I started seeing like YouTube videos, like people with, like doing stuff like punching their wall on accident. And for some reason, I was so intrigued by it, just like to be like, oh, like, you're like, what was so like captivating where you really threw like that left hook so hard? So like, I went to GameStop, and I saw the they're all stacked up. Like, it wasn't very popular at the time, and I kind of did my research. I looked into it. I saw Facebook was behind the whole branding aspect of it. I bought one. It sat. It literally sat. It sat in my like, I bought it in California. I moved to Atlanta, and then I was in my apartment. I just saw the box and I didn't touch it. I called my dad. I'm like, hey, Pop, I got this, this VR headset. I know you've been talking about it. I was like, you want it? And my dad's like, yeah, send it to me. So I sent it to him. I got rid of it. Never used it. Didn't really. So, long story short, after I sent it to my dad, I think about a month and a half went by. An incident with Cobb County Police Department happened, and it scared me. And it scared me to a state of solitude where I did not want to leave the house. I didn't want to do it. I didn't social, like I cut off all social outlets. Like it was me, my house, and that's it. And so then I figured I had to do something because I was losing my mind. And my dad bought another headset for my mom, which she wasn't using. So I took that one. So I took my headset back and I took it back. I put it on, and then I started reading about this term metaverse, and I was like, And I just seen Ready Player One. Everybody did, and I kind of the concept and the fact that it was directed by Steven Spielberg and stuff like stuff like that doesn't get put into major motion pictures like that unless there's something to it. And it started to pique my interest. So I did my research, and then I found out about NFTs, and I already knew crypto was a thing that was going big, but like I'm not a trader, but like I was, there's different spaces that are, making themselves available in this Web3 era. But and I saw this metaverse, and I knew that I was like, there's something to it. And I found Horizon Worlds, I jumped into Horizon Worlds, I networked, I went to the plaza for days and days. And like, it's weird because at first I was nervous to talk to people. I was like, I was that guy that would pull into the plaza and just be like, kind of sitting in the corner, like, the little spectator. And, and then eventually, people started coming, actually, I want to say the community guides, the employees of Meta made me feel a little bit more comfortable because they would come up to me and start conversation. And then in turn, I started to realize and grasp the concept of what was really going on here. And, we're building a community, it's a community away from our physical communities, because sometimes our physical communities aren't for us, like as an individual, like for whatever reason, and this is our way of escaping these, whatever problems we may have and go through, it gives us a time to breathe easy.
Wow. I want to pause you for a second, Park, because you're saying so many things that I want to unpack and make sure that our listeners are really grasping, right?
I'm ready to drop knowledge today.
Like, listen. Oh, so okay. So look, you're pumped. I'm pumped. Let's give them a better insight of, I think you mentioned it really quickly, but I think it's worth mentioning is that, with some of the things that happened to you with life that you couldn't control, there was an incident that happened, but whether it's the same incident with you're having or someone else across the world having, is that we all deal with life, and life has ways of lifing us. And as a result, sometimes we get in these moments of solitude, or some people may consider it depression, or just like we really have to like figure out how can we get out of this space. And it sounds like virtual reality was a pathway forward for you to really be able to like pull out of that space in another way. Unpack that for us a little bit more, because I know that there's people listening right now who are in that space right now. They feel like, man, I can't go out, where they're scared to go out, or some life has happened to them and they're just feeling a little bit more, introverted or reserved. What can you say and really unpack for those people that are listening that are there right now?
So in the rooms of narcotics, any anonymous room, whether it's your addiction to sex, to gaming, whatever it is, we all have vices, but they do say, that it's the term is that living life on life's terms, right? So sometimes we're dealt a curveball in which we don't expect, we're not ready for. I didn't walk out that day planning for what happened to happen that day, and it did, so like, as humans, we're trained and we're to adapt to our environments, and like, I've found that, like for the man who gets released from jail and is on house arrest, for 6 months, can't leave his house. I've seen, personal situation from a friend, I've seen them go crazy, just being stuck in the house and knowing that everybody else is out doing other stuff. And they're, it's hard to really detach, like your thoughts from what your real situation is, and putting on this headset has taught me, it gave me an outlet, it gave me a way that, okay, I don't really need to be all up in the club, because I can go and put my headset on and go in the club and hang out, and not have to worry about driving home, not have to worry about parking, not have to worry about anything, and I can have just as good of time with people physically that I'm having at my house from my computer chair, But when it comes down to it, it's just like understanding that you're coming into a world, like it's first base is that the person that you see in there is another human being behind that goggle. So like, no matter what, it's respect over everything. You got to respect somebody. And just to be able to say, hey, you know what, I can put my headset on in Florida and go talk to one of my closest friends named Mercot27, shout out. He's from Canada. He's from Saskatoon, Canada, which means, the middle of nowhere, and like me and him, since we've built a relationship that like, like I call him every day. Like he's like, like he's been my best friend for 20 years, I have friends that I've known for 28 years of my life since I was born. I talk to less than I talk to a dude that lives in Saskatoon.
I love it.
It's like, not only has he brought me in, because he was one of the lucky ones to go through the accelerator course, so he's got the fast forward type of intel, and like his mindset, the way he thinks, and he's brought me under his wing. He's taught me so many different, like, like my life a year ago was supposed to be, fighting this nonsense, dealing with it, and just going through the motions, not being able to get the job because I can't pass the background check, or can't be, I can't be hired at this place because this is that, but no, you know what I decided? I made my own business. Like
I love it.
Like the stuff that's going on in here, like there's a lot of opportunities, a lot of different spaces that are developing overnight.
Man. Okay, so look, Parker, you're giving us some gems on even the more practical side of it, right? And I appreciate you for being just so transparent and sharing your story. There's, one of the things I love how you said, respect over everything. At the end of the day, virtual reality is just a vehicle for us to be able to get to the metaverse where we interact with other humans, right? So to your point, this isn't CGIs we're dealing with and like computer, like these are other real physical people. So I just appreciate you for just highlighting the fact that like, this is a community that we're building and we can respect each other and build together. I love it. Like the fact that you're telling me there's somebody in Canada that you connect, like that's so dope. So dope. So
never would have thought it in a million years.
Let's take a pivot here and talk a little bit of what you're alluding to, which is almost like the opportunity side of the metaverse, right? Talk to us a little bit about, right, who is the metaverse for? Who can take advantage of these opportunities? And where does somebody start?
So when it says who can take, I really don't like to put a limitation on it, like as we see Miss B, you know what I mean? She has her whole skincare line running through that. Did it go out?
No, keep talking. Since you're in the flow, I'll just make sure I cut this part. Go ahead.
All right. She has a whole skincare line going, like we got Hardy, who's got this whole sort of like Rock Nation type of thing going where he's building all the hottest new spots, you know what I mean? Like we got, you got Baller Alert. Like, I don't know. Like it's, I really don't see a cap on, which direction you can take this, because you know what? My whole thing is that any representation of what you may put into a world gives whatever client you may receive in the future and the most immersive feeling of who you are as a company.
Oh, say that again, Parker. That was good.
It's the immersive feeling of who you are as a company. Like for example, for real estate agents, like you can build your own world of all your listings that you have, and give your potential clients the access to the world for them to walk through this neighborhood and walk into these houses that you have listed, and they can actually have the feeling of what it looks like rather than being on your phone scrolling for the the 3D tour, and you're not really seeing like how deep or how deep a living room may be or how high a vaulted ceiling may be, like stuff like that would I feel like would spark this like rapid growth to this, to a whole nother industry that, is connecting the physical world with this metaverse. I don't know. Like, and when it comes to starting, like everybody, I have a lot of people, contact, oh, how do I do this? How do I do that? It's like, I'm going to be straight the hell up. Like when I came in, I didn't know, and I invested in myself. I paid, to go to the webinar that, was hosted by somebody, by Hardy. I learned that, you know what I mean? I built the network with him, and now it's turned into like a rock solid, like triangle of heavy hitters of people doing their thing with their platforms and their brands, helping everybody else grow, what do you call it? Coincide.
Yep.
Yeah. Coinciding together, everybody's finding their lane of what they're good at, or what they're passionate about, what they love, and finding the angle in which that they can, offer a service to a world, to the US and Canada, correct, right now, but eventually to the world, and people, and I understand a lot of the population, when you talk to people about, this space, they're oh, it's a video game. Oh, it's this. It's that. No, it's the same thing you're doing on your smartphone while you're scrolling through Facebook, or if you see that ad, you buy that shirt, it's going to be the same aspect. But you know what? The fact is, you'll be able to know what that shirt looks like on you, really. You know what I mean? Like, rather than like seeing it, getting it from wish.com and getting this little title, shirt, you may end up, you're like, we've all been there. We've all bought.
You're giving us the game right now, Parker. And I think what I want people to take away from this, our community, especially within the Black and Brown community, like we don't get this stuff, and it goes over our heads, and we're usually the last people to come and adopt something and leverage something, right? And I think do not miss what he's saying right now. He's really giving us the game that this is for anybody who's able to come in. He learned it. We all learned it. It's all so new.
I'm not a computer programmer. I'm not, I've self-taught, stuff like that. I taught myself how to build like using YouTube videos, and like
exactly.
It is what it is. I make it happen. And if I want an idea to happen, you know what I mean? Like if I really have to, like I invest in it, because it's like I know where the floodgate's going. We know where the digital wave. It's a digital wave.
Yeah,
it's what it is. It's a wave, and it's going to be like the industrial revolution. You know what I mean? Now we're going to have the digital revolution, and things are going to start. You're going to start seeing, like, I feel my personal, conundrum or query or whatever that you want to think is that we're not going to be. There's going to be no grocery stores that we go to anymore. We're going to be shopping everything. We're going to put our headsets on. We'll be able to walk into our local grocery store, see what they have, selection, pick it up, and it'll be drop shipped to our house. The way that the real estate market's going, they're knocking down all these, units that were, once store spaces and stuff like that. And all these stores are going, strictly online, and, building social media presence, and, shipping everything. And all they have is a little warehouse. All they need is a storage unit, to operate. It's cost efficient, and it's just where it's going. It's like,
that's it. And people can either get with it or get left behind. I want to pivot for a second, Parker, because I think you're alluding to the fact of, hey, anybody can start. I hear a couple things happening. One, anybody can start, no matter your background, right? It's a level playing field opportunity for anybody who is willing to put in the work, which is what I hear you're saying. You put in the work to learn, to understand. And then two, when you get there, like make the connections, build with other people. You said something though that I want to go back to, and it was the fact that, within your own background, because of the way our society is, there were some challenges with even your own professional career. So you said, look, I'm going to start my own thing. Talk to us about that. Let's pivot and talk about your business and what you're creating inside of the metaverse.
So, not only have I started the Safe House Recovery Club, which started out originally as just a meeting space, a place for addicts and alcoholics to go to host meetings, and it's transitioned into a place we have a ladies center, we have the ladies room, where we have the Smile Honey Child ladies room, completely designed by there. She's going to be hosting women's meetings throughout the week, there specifically. Not only does she have her own world, which is specifically aimed towards healing women or empowering women, which I believe is a 100% respectful space, and I'm all for it, and like we also have guided meditations that are going to be, hosted by Flutter, the meditation queen, and we have our therapist, B Breezy 1995, shout out. She just got out, she completed her schooling, she completed her hours, she's waiting to pass her test to, be certified or whatever, I guess, to take on a caseload. But I mean, it's a great start for her. She's a certified life coach, so she has the ability and the capabilities and the certifications and the requirements to take on a one-on-one, session in a strictly advisory manner, not prescribing anybody anything, not referrals or no referrals or anything like that. We're just strictly advising,
My main y'all are doing this in the metaverse.
Yes, we are. Yeah.
Unreal.
It's cool because, like, I'll be chilling in my world and just have, like, a person come in and just, kind of just talk to me. We go to I have an office space there. It's completely soundproof. It's it's a one-on-one type of vibe, and you're able to tell me anything, because nothing surprises me. I've done everything under the sun, like it's okay, like I wouldn't change my story for the death of me, it made me the man who I am today. And like,
that's beautiful.
I'm allowed to help people wherever I can, and like that's been my biggest goal, because somebody did that for me. When like if it, what I mean, like if somebody didn't save my life, I wouldn't I wouldn't be talking to you right now, and it's just like the only reason why I allowed them to save my life is because they were such an open book with me that I felt the comfort level to divulge what was really going on in my head, you know. And then it comes to find out that, you know, I'm not that messed up, you know. Like a lot of us spend a lot of time, you know, beating ourselves up, telling ourselves we're the craziest, you know, or trying to be, you know, or putting this facade on that we are the hardest, you know. No, you know, like, because that's a bit about my story. It just got me that mindset and trying to put on this image for something, you know, ended me up in a long, you know, 10-11 year battle with, you know, myself and my addictions, you know. And I'm glad I'm here to be able to do that. You know, like I have a couple projects coming up where, you know, a project called Recovery Street, where it's going to be a hub world where everybody will have access to facilities, you know, treatment center facilities around the nation. Each one will be backed with a, you know, immersive feel for the treatment center. Each world will be, you know, custom built to whatever the treatment center's needs and likes. We'll have billboards, you know what I mean? Just like, so you can, anybody, if they don't want to come to somebody, they'll have access to that, you know. And at the end of Recovery Street is going to be my virtual outpatient rehab facility. It's not a rehab, I call it a maintenance facility, because you know what? I saw the need that, so to break it down, treatment for drugs and alcohol you go from a detox phase, which is, you know, for anywhere from 5 to 7, sometimes 10 days. Then you go from there to a residential PHP setting, which is like a 30-day stay. And then you go from IOP, which is half days. So you know what I mean? Like you kind of like taper down in your care, your level of care. But then after you graduate and you go home, so like say I went to a facility in California, but I live in Wisconsin, and like I live in the middle of nowhere. I live around a bunch of cows, and, you know, and like I have no resources to sustain my recovery. Going from having resources available to not having them available, you know, having them available for 90 days and then to not having them available, that's a, you know what I mean, that's a very risky spot, you know. So like my goal is to be able to extend this, you know, this care, this level of care, you know, and be able to, you know, get these, you know, clients that have put their time and their work into graduating from these facilities, leaving with a headset, and having a place for them to go to attend groups, you know, at least 12 hours a day on their own schedule.
This is unbelievably amazing. Like, I'm almost getting emotional listening to you, because I'm like, and I do a lot of these interviews and I very rarely get emotional. And I say that because I'm so inspired by your passion to serve the community that you have been a part of, but also too, you see an opportunity to go back and give back. Right. Yep. I'm so inspired by your work, man. And I'm just happy that we can be able to highlight what you're doing, because that's the power of technology. Right. Yep. And my hope is that those who are listening that serve communities in whichever way that you serve it, that you're inspired by Parker's story too, to say, how can I be able to leverage technology where no longer are geographical barriers in place? No longer are there barriers in place as far as access. Right. I mean, literally to put a headset on and be instantly teleported to a space where you can give care services or fill in the blank for a community that you serve. I think both of us are challenging you, right, to say, well, how can you take your business, your services, and what you do into the metaverse? Man, this is so powerful. So powerful. When does Recovery Street launch? What's the timeline for it? Right. And even just if you can really quickly share with those who are listening how they can get involved.
So right now, you know, I mean, like I'm in initial, you know, stages of meeting with the actual facilities, and because, you know, I'm finding that, you know, these companies don't really know, you know, they don't know about it, you know, and like I'm actually going back to the facilities that I was ever. Okay, so I went to 167 treatment centers before I was able to get my life together. And
wow, wait. Just say that again.
167 facilities, detoxes, and treatment centers before I was able to live a life. You know, and you know, like I've been, you know, curating my list of all these facilities because I want to incorporate as many of these, because all these facilities, and when I say 167, I'm talking about around the nation, you know, from Florida to Massachusetts to California to Arizona to Texas. You know, because for some people, you know, that they think a geographic change is what they need to straighten their life out. No, it's a mental relocation you need to take your ass.
Yo, that's a whole nother conversation. We gonna
Yeah.
have a mental mindset conversation, man.
Yep.
Continue,
Yeah.
continue.
So, you know what I mean? So like I'm been curating this list, and like, you know, and I'm contacting these facilities, and I'm like, hey, you know, remember me? You know, like, hey, you know, so like I'm not, you know, I'm not that fucking shithead anymore. I'm this guy doing this now, you know, and I have something that's actually that's cutting edge, you know what I mean? Like, is this something you want to be involved in, you know? And I have a couple of things in the works right now, you know, we can't, but you know, like anybody who's any type of like situation like that, you know what I mean, like as being like a world hub, and like, you know, it's an advertising space, and in general it's something that gives the people an idea of who you are, because if I know damn well, like if I don't see it, I'm never going to know about it, you know. So like just putting, you know what I mean, like I have a bunch of these different projects advertised, like I you know, like that's another big thing too in this space is advertising. People don't understand that, like, you know, hey, building your world and building, you know, people coming to your world and stuff like that, like, you know, putting advertisements for other companies that may not be fully into the space, but, you know, are interested in it, you know, can be a quick, people are always trying to figure out how to monetize, you know, and it's like something, an idea like that, if it's clear cut, if you have, you know what I mean, like good quality things backing it, then I would, as a business owner, you know what I mean, like me, like,
Right.
you know, like, why not?
It just makes sense. It makes sense. It's visibility, it's access, and
Yep.
even I love how you put it. I haven't heard it like that in terms of it's just immersive, right? It's the idea of being able to. You can say it better than I said it, Parker. But how did you say it? For the first time, building a world is like a brand having a chance to immerse their brands. How did you say it?
Just it gives a prospective client that feeling of who you are in a immersive feeling. So like instead, like you're standing in the company. Like that's, I always refer to this metaverse thing as like, instead of going on Facebook, you're going into Facebook. You know what I mean? Like you jump into Facebook, and everybody who you'd be having these conversations that you don't know emotion behind. You know what I mean? Like you know what I mean? Somebody may misconstrue something you may say. Like we were talking about this last night, or was last, yeah. Like somebody may misconstrue something you say because it's straight text. But if I'm able to go into my like onto my social media platform and go talk to that person face to face, what type of, you know what I mean? There would never be that disconnect ever. There would never be that misunderstanding that comes, you know. It's just,
I love that.
and I built you know what I mean? Like I met you, like, you know what I mean? Like I would, like in a million years we would have never crossed paths, you know what I mean? Like things, like, because it's just a geographic block that we, you know what I mean? Like we all come from different places, but like the thing is, we all have the same mindset, and this has brought all people just like us closer, you know, which is actually the most beneficial thing, because what you got going on, Black and Meta, like what, like, you know what I mean? Like that's a whole movement. Like I'm so honored to be, you know, a part of this, and like, you know what I mean, doing, like, just watching all of us grow as a team, and just like, you know, 10 years from now, you know, you will all be like, you know, we'll have like a freaking retreat and just be like, yeah.
I love it. I love it, man. Parker, you're just, your energy, man, is just so awesome. I love it. I love it. And I resonate so much with what you're saying. To your point, you know, we deal with these geographical barriers and even just societal barriers, and inside of our subgroups of Black and brown, right? Like some of those have been constructed against us. So sometimes we don't see each other and cross paths just because of the notion of the societal structures within the Black and brown community that we've erected, right? So I love the fact that, like, now going into this, it's beyond just the fact that we're connecting and hanging out. It's like we are actually crossing paths with people within our community that we wouldn't ever cross paths with before. And it's opening up. Here's the thing, it's opening up a new level of inspiration, of creativity, of opportunity, and creating connections that otherwise just wouldn't be. So I love that. I love that. Me and Parker run into each other all the time in world. I'm like, yo, what's up, P? Like, it's just an amazing experience to be able to connect with somebody, and really be able to continue, like you said, building relationships. So just for the sake of, oh, go ahead. You want to add something?
Finding some of the, I just want to put this out, like, you know, I've met some of the greatest Black brains, you know what I mean, in Horizon Worlds, you know, whether, you know, between Hardy, between Black Harley, you know what I mean, all those, you know what I mean, that whole, you know, Angel, you know, the art, like they're all like like there's things that they're working on. It's just captivating. You know what I mean? Dollar Beezy, like, you know what he's got going. Hold up. I had to do that one time.
y'all understand that when you get in world.
Yeah, everybody understand that. But I mean, like, it's just I love to see this train like moving and the direction it's moving and how big it's getting, you know. Yeah. If there's one thing I can just tell the world, you know what I mean? Like, just if you're a skeptic, you know what I mean? Everybody was a skeptic of the internet when it first came out, back on AOL, when we can, you know, you can be on the phone and like, just think about it. You know what I mean? Facebook, when it came out in 2003 or 2004, what was it? You know what I mean? Look at it now, you know. There's going to be an evolution that goes on, you know, and I can't be much more of an advocate of getting to understand the space, because it's not going to stop. It's not, you know, there's not going to be a chip that implodes every Oculus, you know. They're not going to take Oculuses off the shelf, you know, and I'm definitely not going to stop posting about it and talking about it and showing you guys what we really got going on. Yeah. So if there's one word of advice, get in, get known, and know other people, and show respect at all times.
That's so good, man. We can wrap up right there. That is such a good way, I think, to really wrap up today, because at the end of the day, that's what it's all about, right? Like, even though we have these headsets on, the reality is that we are real people. We are real people with real situations, and we goals, really have ambitions. Say it again.
With goals and ambitions.
Goals and ambitions, right? Yep. And this is the perfect place to allow that to come to life in a brand new way. Let's do this as we wrap up here, Parker. I would love for you. Obviously, this is the Black and Meta community, and so we've been kind of dancing around it and talking to it. But I do want you to give any like kind of final charge or words for the Black and Brown community, specifically as it relates to the metaverse, and kind of what you're seeing in that space and why it's important for us to get involved now.
So to the Black and Brown community, man, you know, as a society of I guess you could say, like, as viewed as minorities, you know, we have been put at a lot of disadvantages, you know, whether, you know, what different position offer, you know, just anything that's ever held us back in our lives. And I'm pretty sure every Black and Brown person can attest that sometime in their life that they felt that they missed out on some opportunity because of the color of their skin, which is absolutely normal, you know, but it's the thing, you know, this whole idea and this whole concept and this whole construction, you know, is your green light as an individual, as a person with a dream. You know, my dad always told me, follow your dreams before you work for somebody who followed theirs. That's always
good. That's good. That's good, man. You drops mic, because I think it's just such a great way, such a high note, man, to just end on today. Parker, you've been amazing. Your story is amazing. We're so excited. Kudos to you. Just giving you flowers, man, for just doing the work that you're doing. I cannot say enough that you are a leader. You are inspiring our community. I know you're going to inspire just the next generation to come after you, that to just not just do what you love and take advantage of the opportunity, but do it in a way that help somebody else. And you are absolutely a standing trophy to show us what that looks like. So, man, I appreciate the work that you're doing. Any last words? Tell us your Oculus name so they can add you, Instagram names they can add you, and then any last words you want to give today to the community.
All right, you can add me at Petite on Oculus. It's P 2 E's T 2 E's T. On Instagram at Petite with P 3's T 3's T. And the Metadvisors also on Instagram. And you know, my last words, just show love and everything will take care of itself.
Heard it first. All right, y'all. Well, listen, you know what to do. We'll make sure that we drop all of Pete's handles, links inside of the description below so that you can click that, learn more about the work that he's doing, as well as connect with him inside of the metaverse. Of course, specifically Horizon Worlds is what he uses. So you can get also access to Recovery Street when he launches that. And of course, share that with others that you know that need those services. Pete, again, thank you so much. So excited to have you on this platform. We'll have to have you back for part 2 very soon once you get your world world up and rolling to talk to us about that. But excited for you all to be here. So remember, do not waste a moment. Do not waste a second. Go get your Oculus today. Go get your headset today.
Get it.
Jump in, get started. Today is the day to be able to leverage this opportunity. And we're so excited to be pioneering this way. So follow us at Black and Meta, blackandmeta.co for all of the things. And until we see you again, peace.
My girl.